I was abused to start off with. I was one of 4 children. I was the youngest of 4. At age of 4, my dad used to take a leather belt to me. I was almost like a runt of the litter and wasn't cared for. We roamed the streets. I don't need to tell you, when we were kids, we found our own entertainment. The streets basically were our entertainment. We were hanging outside public houses. Supervision orders were taken out by the council. In our old days, or nowadays they call them social workers. In our days, they were called child care officers, CCOs. Now, CCOs would see children roaming around on the street, or people complain about these children being a bit of a nuisance, running around the streets at all hours of God given day or night. And we were placed into children's homes via respite. So now I was in 4 or 5 children's homes up until I was 6 years of age, through respite care, being taken away from my parents. If it deemed suitable for them to go back to my parents, I'd go back. But my father was a very, very abusive, drunken man, and he wouldn't think twice of beating any of us, and let alone taking a leather belt to a 4-year-old child himself.
So when your father was abusive to you, was that before you went to the care home?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So what was the transition of you going from home to care home? What actually happened for you to end up there?
So my parents obviously didn't learn their lesson. The council obviously felt that more attention was needed in looking after us. So there was necessarily for a duty of care. So an award was placed at a juvenile court for me to go to a juvenile court at 6 years of age, and the juvenile judge is looking down at a 6-year-old boy and saying, straight away, lying to a child by turning around and saying, would you like to go to the seaside? And this little boy I've never been to the seaside, so he's going to open it up with all them. So they took me into a huge, one of the biggest children's homes in the whole of the country, a place called Beach Home in Banstead, Surrey. Very regimental. It was part of the old, the type of workhouse scenario kind of, you know, they had their own cobblers, their own workmen, trades units, every single thing was built in there. At one stage, the children used to come out of the houses to a brass band. So a brass band would play up, strike and walk up and down the avenues, and as soon as that band came near your cottage, you came left in a parade and got onto the end of the parade, and they worked you off to the workhouses and so on and so forth. Now Beecham goes back to the 1800s, and it had its own regiment in the Surrey Regiment, where children not only came from the workhouses but from historic abuse. They also went through the Second World War. Oh. So it's got a long, long history, and it's one of the only children's homes that had it. But it was very, very abusive. I had 7 abuses in Beecham, 7 women and men that took it upon themselves to be able to sexually, physically, mentally, psychologically beat me, starve me, torture me, burn me, do whatever you think you could do. And their duty of care, which they should have done and put me in safe places, safeguarding me, did not happen.
So was that abuse kind of immediate when you entered the Beach Home?
Absolutely, yeah. From the very, very day that I walked into Beach Home, that I kind of like walked into the office, and it was almost like I was analysed by a group of adults that were looking at me and turning around and saying to me, you know, psychoanalysing you kind of thing. I'm trying to work out who this boy is, what this makeup is. And then the staff, the deputies and things on, were all doing their due diligence or whatever they needed to do on you. And then they took you down to the stores and they took all your clothes off you and put you into shorts. Now, they put you in shorts straight away, and that was a punishment in itself, because the shorts they put you in were a weapon, where they used to slap you at the backs of your legs and things like that.
I understand.
So everything was taken away from you. And then I was taken to a cottage called Laburnum, because each house is 24 houses, or cottages. The other thing about children's homes, name them after trees. Right. And you had laburnum, larch, ash, beech, willow, thistle, maple fir, all of these names after trees. Now, I was in 4 different cottages. if I put it into perspective, where I will tell you a little bit more about this, what happened, but if I was in 4 cottages and I got, if I was in 4 cottages, my brothers and sisters were in 3, there's 7 out of 24 cottages where just my family, one family alone, were abused.
Wow.
So that goes to show the rate of the abuse in Beecham. At one stage, Beecham held 900 children.
Wow.
So that's the amount of abuse
Does
that
it
was.
still exist now?
Sorry?
Does it still exist now, Beach Home?
No.
No.
They pulled it down within a year.
Right, okay.
Records were destroyed and redacted and went missing.
Yeah.
There was,
Alan, I hate to ask, but when you say sexual abuse, what kind of things did you have to endure?
so they used to come into your dormitory at night and they used to touch you up in the dormitories and put their hands in their bed, and you're touching not any mature child.
No, a child, yeah.
You're just touching the sake of a child because you can do it, because you've got that power over that child. What happened was, when I first went in there, I went into the Burnham cottages and there was this woman standing in the doorway called Grace Robinson. Now, the only way to describe this woman is she looked like Hilda Ogden. She had the rollers in her hair, she had glasses, and she was looking down at her glasses at you, and there was a thick-set woman, Audrey Wilson, a Welshwoman, next to her. And these were the main house parents. Now, we had to call them auntie and uncle, although they were not related to us at all. Yeah. So we had to call them auntie and uncle. And we were told the rules and regulations: you can't use the front door, you must use the back door. You use the outside toilets, you're not allowed to use the inside toilets. And then you show your dormitories and things like that. And it was very, very strict. And as I say, every single day you got either a whack round their head, you got shoved, pushed, kicked, punched, beaten. If you didn't eat your food, it was put before you the next day. If you didn't eat it again, the torture was unbelievable. They used to make you stand up and face the wallpaper. If you spoke out of turn, they would beat you and do all sorts of things to you. Audrey Wilson came up to the dormitories and they used to take children into the bedrooms, and these women staff, and she came over, and Beech Home was lined by these beech trees, and that's why it's called Beech Home, because the avenues were lined by beech trees, and the lights from the street avenues, the branches above used to make a dancing pattern on the ceilings of the, and you could look up and you could see these leaves moving, and it was broken by this thick-set woman's leaning over me, and I knew who it was, because she'd often stand in front of the dormitory in like a see-through nightie.
Was it just the males committing the abuse there, or was it women as well?
Yeah, these were women. Yeah, doing it.
So it was all women committing the
no,
abuse?
and men.
And men. Okay, so both. Okay, right.
Yeah, but it was both. Right. And she would be touching me up and that, and I was so frightened of what happened. I crept into a little ball and I wet the bed, and I stayed in that little ball in the corner of the room, so petrified and frightened and didn't know what to do. And in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, she come out and she grabbed hold of me and dragged me down the stairs because I'd wet the bed. And she made me wash my sheets in the wet bed, stripping me of all my clothes off, making me get into the bed with the sheets in cold water. And the torture, these are the torture type of things they used to do to you.
What you've just said right there, it is very similar to what one of Zia Khan's victims went through. I'm not too sure of the age of the young lady, but he touched her up in the hot tub and she froze.
Yeah.
She couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then one of her friends, it says from the report in the Nottingham newspaper, that she noticed what she was going through, and she's the one that alerted the staff there, you know what I mean? And then from there, an arrest was made. So very similar circumstances.
And another thing that you notice with perpetrators is their hygiene.
Right.
Their hygiene, they're very, very unclean.
Right.
The smell of them, the astringent smell that comes from them, they're like almost rancid, they're not clean, they don't wash themselves properly, their breath smells, or you can smell alcohol or cigarettes on them. They're very, very, very distinctive.
Yeah.
You know, once they were close in your face, you knew that it was a horrible.
I get you. I understand that.
And it's something that lives with you.
Yeah.
You know, that pungent
it's one
stink.
of your senses, isn't it?
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
So. That went on for years and years and years, the abuse.
So how long were you actually in there for?
In Laburnum, I must have been in Laburnum. So it didn't just start there. From Laburnum, I went from Laburnum to the primary school.
Right.
So the primary school, I was being abused in the primary school by the teachers.
Sexually abused again.
Yeah, sexually abused again, as well as beaten.
At that point, were you back with your family, or were you still
No,
at home?
I was in Beecham forever then.
Right.
That was it for another 11 years.
Right, okay.
So, you know, with the respite care and the 11 years in Beecham, it was a total of 17 years.
So the council was supposed to be taking care of you. They put you in a home where you got abused there. Then you went to the primary school and you got abused there as well.
Yeah.
Carry on, mate. That's shocking.
So I went to the primary school, and I know kids will turn around and said, "Yeah, I had blackboard rubble thrown at me. I was hit over the knuckles with rulers and things like that." We had all that, but we used to get slapped round the head and all that, and we weren't actually taught anything. And one of the other guys, because you had these shorts on and you didn't possess anything, you didn't have no money, no hanky, no nothing. Right. A guy called Whiteman used to chase you around the playground, and he'd catch you and he'd say, "Right, what you got in your pocket, boy?" Yeah. And knowing you never possessed anything, he'd rifle through your trouser pockets, just feeling you up, just to touch you up, because there's nothing in your pocket. You don't possess nothing. You don't have a wallet, you don't have a hanky, you don't have anything. You're a child in a children's home, and they put you in these shorts where they really, if somebody used to come up and slap you on the back of the neck, slap you in the ear,
bare skin,
and on the backs of the legs in these shorts, it was really painful, and it really, when it stayed stung, it stung. Yeah. And in the bathrooms, right, I used to take you in the bathrooms, and we used to try. There's a toothbrush, and we had like a coach bolt on the bathroom door. We tried to slide the toothbrush to lock the door so they couldn't get into us. So they'd come round to the back window, open the back window, and force their way in.
That's how they got in.
And they got into you, and then we used to have this industrial carbolic soap called by Lever Brothers, who made Lever Brothers made this red acid soap that used to use to scrub the floors. And they used to use 4 scrubbing brushes, which they used to industrially scrub the floors with, and that. They'd wash you with it in the bath. Oh, they'd put it in your mouth. They said, "I wash your mouth out with soap," and it burnt your mouth. Oh, God. And they used to get it in your eyes, and it used to sting your eyes for days and days and days. And you used to walk around with red eyes for ages and ages. And they'd scrub the skin off your back with these floor scrubbing brushes and put this acid into your back. That was torture.
These are the people that are supposed to be taking care of you.
This was a duty of care.
Yeah, you were in a safe space. You were in a space where you were supposed to be protected and taken care of. The government was supposed to, intervene and take care of you. Where your family couldn't take care of you, and then you even suffered way more abuse.
But these weren't professional people, no. They weren't true professional.
Oh, right. Okay.
These were people that how they got a job looking after children because they weren't fit for purpose.
Right. Okay.
And then. From there, I ran away quite a few times from the children.
I was going to say, how long did the actual abuse actually go on for until you actually left there? When you did leave there, was it a case of going back home to your mum and dad, or?
No, my dad died when I was in Beecham.
Right.
He died when I was 10 years of age. I never did see... I did go up to London as I got older into my teens, and I did go back to see my mother.
So you stayed in the care system till like your teen years?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I stayed till I was in care till I was 17.
And then what did you do? Where did you
They
go
put me
from
into
there?
a hostel in London.
Right, I got you, okay.
And then I was roaming the streets of London, rough and sofa surfing. And so like 25 years of my existence was like London was my Beirut. Right. It's the only way I can describe it because it wasn't easy.
Yeah, I get it.
I had more abuses than that. The staff used to call somebody Uncle Staff to come down in Laburnum and beat you up and take you up to their house. And they had the thing about the bathrooms, and they used to make you go in the bathroom, and they used to talk to you in the bathroom and beat you in the bathroom because they thought if they could close the door and drown it out with either the water or the sound of the water, like almost waterboarding and things like that, that punishment was the noise levels were sedated by the water, or whatever the case might be. It's very, very difficult to actually put words into actions and tell you people exactly what it was like. It was horrendous. When I was in a house called Larch, there was a guy there. Now, he was bathing children at 12 years of age in development. He would grab hold of you. He used to make you wash up after the meals and go into the kitchen. And he used to grab hold of you and come up behind you, and you'll be in a sink, washing up in a sink. He'd come up behind and hold onto the sink and rub up against you, be from behind you. He was so much more powerful than you, and he'd beat you up, throw you on the floor, jump on your back, and rub his genitals on your back, and ride you as if you're sort of like a horse or a donkey, whatever the case might be.
That's disgraceful.
Yeah.
It's just alien to me how this sort of behaviour can even happen, but you know, we deal with it on a day-to-day basis, especially what I'm doing with my series, and it is quite hard to actually hear about it firsthand because I'm a friend of yours as well. I know your story as well, but it's the first time I've heard it in real detail. It is shocking.
And it's not so much that, it's just that the superintendent, I ran away. I went to the police station and I said to him, look, I'm being abused. This has happened to me. That was happened to me. So the police took me down in a Black Mariah back to Beechholm. Yeah. I went before Jeffrey Banner, the superintendent, with letters after his name. Yeah. He took me into his office. He said to me, like, look in the corner of that room, and there was a cane. He said, little boys like you that tell lies, right, get sent away. Right. Or you get the cane. Now, he got me and he put me on his knee and he bounced me off his knee in a perverse way. And I could feel him getting worked up with him bouncing me off his knee. And he wouldn't abate that. He kept doing it until he was getting a thing off it. This same guy would get young girls just coming into puberty, put them across his desk, pull their knickers down and smack their arses, fully knowing well he could see everything by the position they were in over his desk. Now, he was the superintendent of the children's home, you know. So not only did you have all these staff doing it, you know, and at one stage you had 900 children in there. You had 24 cottages, each cottage virtually the same class size as say 30 kids in a house, and you had a boys' dormitory, a girls' dormitory. You had labels in all your clothes. You know, when they talk about, another thing I have to touch on is race. Okay. When they talk about racism and things like that, there was no such thing as weird kids. It was kids from all walks of the world. They were from everywhere. They were black, white, pink or blue, whatever you want to say in any methodology that you can use to determine where we're going with this. We sat at the same dining room. We sat all around the same table. We ate the same food as they ate. We wore the same clothes as they wore. Right? We got the same abuse as they did. We slept in the same dormitories as they did. Everything they got, we got. How could there have been any race amongst us?
So in that case of abuse, in your circumstance, race wasn't a particular issue, but like what we have seen by the Islamic grooming gangs, it seems that race has been a pinnacle issue.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, you know, it's very interesting the difference when you want to discuss race into it in the different sort of areas of abuse. So it's definitely interesting.
I added that in there because that is nothing that's not even mentioned. And they do it because they want to do it. Right, they are very, very sick people. Right, and when people turn around and try to make it one-sided and about race and things like that, it's nothing to do with, right? Okay, it happens in all walks of life. We know that.
We know that,
right, but predominantly we have an issue in this country, right, where our children are being violated, right, for no reason at all. You know, one of the things that I will say, if you take a child's innocence, it's gone forever.
It is, 100%. Alan, tell me then, so after these years of abuse actually did carry on with you, and then obviously you were living rough for quite a while, when did you actually manage to kind of get into the swing of life and find your own kind of safe space again? What actually happened? You never? No, even with work or anything like that? Or you never settled at a property or anything, no?
I never, academically, I couldn't read or write when I was 15. My education suffered so badly. Today, my spelling is not perfect. Everything I've done, I've taught myself. Everything I've managed to do, I've done myself.
Because you had a business, I think, from what you told me.
I have got a landscape business.
I've
got my own little...
Which is impressive still. You know, you should definitely have a clap yourself on the back for that.
Well, I've got traffic management tickets and things like that. I can do things like that. I can climb... I used to climb 15-foot trees and chainsaw trees and things like that in forestry, you know.